Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. We are winding it down. We are getting to the end. We have just about wrapped up our look at the draft. There are a few more positions I want to look at. They are not positions that most people would associate with the Seahawks areas of need, but I want to be thorough here. So today we're going to look at strong safety. We're going to start with strong safety. We're going to do free safety tomorrow. That's the plan. And basically, we're thinking about day 3 here, right? Jamal Adams just starting his monster extension. We are going to have Jamal Adams around for a while, whether we like it or not. We can say whatever we want to say about him as a player. We can say whatever we want to say about him as far as the trade goes. It doesn't really matter that much. He's going to be here, and as long as he's here, you definitely cannot spend resources on another strong safety, or at least not good resources. However, just because all those things are true, just because we can't go out and spend a top 100 pick on another safety, that doesn't mean we don't have to think that we can just forget about the backup, because bottom line is he's suffered several injuries since he got to Seattle. He's missed games. He's had at least one major injury. He's played through other injuries. So if you're looking at the strong safety position, you go, okay, we got Jamal. He's super expensive. Obviously, he has the ability to be one of the best, if not the best safety in the league. He needs to find that form again. However, we can't depend on him for 17 games. So we need a backup. And as of right now, I don't know if we have that guy. We've got candidates like Ryan Neal, who did actually play quite a bit of strong safety last year. Didn't really impress me. Ryan Neal to me is more of a cornerback than a safety. You put him out there at safety, you're not putting him in the best possible position to succeed. You've got other guys who are kind of hanging around like Tanner Muse. He might be more of a linebacker, though. Maybe he could do some strong safety stuff, but I don't know if he's even going to be here next year. Guys like Jones. Josh Jones, I think his name is, the guy who played a little bit in the Arizona game last year and actually held up. I think he had like 10 tackles in that game. Maybe. Maybe somebody like an Ugo Amadi or a Marquise Blair could be that guy, but those are also, especially Blair, you can't depend on their availability. So day 3 comes around. If there's a strong safety that you really like to be your backup, maybe you get him. So we got some guys here who are likely, or at least have a chance to fall to the third day of the draft, and I want to talk about them a little bit. I want to review some of the things I've seen, starting with Dane Belton from Iowa. So 6'1", 205 pounds, ran a really nice 40 time, 4.43, really good. 7-second 3-cone, 4.2, 420-yard shuttle. Had 3 pretty productive seasons at Iowa, but 2021 was the year when he really started to show something. 46 tackles, 3 for loss, including 5 interceptions. So a lot of plays made on the ball, a lot of takeaways, 7 pass deflections. CBS is the highest on him. They think he could go in the 4th round. Draft Network is a little more like 5th or 6th. ESPN actually thinks he'll be somewhat lucky to get drafted. They have him in the 7th pretty firmly. So this is a late round sleeper. What I can say about him is that he's got the right size for a strong safety, 6'1", 205 pounds. He's got the frame of a strong safety at the very least at that size, you would say. He's going to be good against the run based off how he played at Iowa. He's going to be able to come up and fill run gaps. He's going to be able to follow assignments in run defense. He hits hard. He's a big hitter. He showed the ball hawk skills that you like in 2021. He had 5 interceptions. He showed the ability to go after the ball. And in general, I would say he can handle zone coverage pretty well. If you put him in zone, if you allow him to just say, defend this area, read the routes around here, he'll be fine. Now, the issues are that man defense, it's going to be a struggle. You ask him to defend a tight end one-on-one in man defense, probably not going to end well. Ask him to do it to a wide receiver, probably not putting him in the best possible position to succeed. And although this isn't really a big problem if you play him at strong safety, he's probably going to be better suited to stay in the box and play the run and do things closer to the line of scrimmage. Don't use him as a deep safety. Now, that's fine. We're talking about backups for Jamal Adams here. What I just said about Dane Belton also applies to Jamal Adams. Don't have him defending the deep zones. Don't let him be the last line of defense. Why? Why would you do that? So, interesting candidate to be a late round pick. He's on my list in the 5th or 6th round, maybe. Next up, we have Sterling Weatherford from Miami of Ohio. He's a lot bigger than even Dane Belton. This guy's almost linebacker size. 6'4", 230 pounds, 4.640, 6.93 cone, really good 3-cone, 4.33 20-yard shuttle, pretty solid measurables. And he had 4 years of significant stats at Miami of Ohio. Highlighting in particular 2019 when he had almost 100 tackles, 5.5 for loss, and 2 sacks, 10 pass deflections, a pick, 2 forced fumbles. And then the most recent season, after 2020 when he really didn't play that much, 66 tackles, 2 for loss, a sack, 2 interceptions, 4 pass deflections. He didn't quite get back to the heights he achieved in 2019, but he was still very productive. And if you look at the big boards, they're a little all over the place. Draft Network, PFF, 4th to 5th round. Walter Football, 5th to 7th. ESPN, 7th. CBS, they have him as a deeper undrafted candidate. So probably a mid to late day 3 pick. He's a hard hitter. Hits hard. Can jar the ball loose for sure. He's long and he's tall. I mean, this guy he's got size in his corner for sure. It's possible you'll look at him and say, hey, reminds me a little bit of Cam Chancellor because he's so darn big, bigger than other safeties that you will find. He's a good tackler. Should be great on special teams. At the very least, you should be getting a great special teams player with Weatherford. So I think that he's at least going to add value there. If you leave him in shallow zones, allow him to play coverage closer to the line of scrimmage, I think he'll be great. That's what he did at Miami of Ohio. He has some experience playing deep, however, being like the free safety almost. And he is a playmaker, as evidenced by some of his ability to make plays in the backfield. Now, all that being said, he's not very quick. He did have the nice 3-cone time, right? But the 40 time, 4.6, that's relatively slow for a safety. It makes sense, right? A 230-pound safety is not going to be super fast or super quick. Mostly, he should stay within the box to excel. Again, I wouldn't call this a problem, but if you're going to try to have him play cover 2, you're missing out on what could make him viable at the NFL level, I think. All right, next up we have Bryan Cook, and I'll say it straight up. This is a guy who may be a little too good for the Seahawks to look at. This guy has a chance to be a day 2 pick. In fact, I think it's probably likely he's a day 2 pick. I can't spend a day 2 pick on a backup safety right now. Can't do it. But if he slips into that 4th round, that's when I start to think about it. He's another Bearcat. Bearcats have a lot of defensive players high in the draft this year. 6'1", 210 pounds, 4.64 40, so a little bit on the slow side. Really only one super productive year, but it was very good. 96 tackles, 5 for loss, 2 interceptions, a sack, and 9 pass deflections. Pretty much all the big boards have him in the 3rd. He's probably a 3rd-round guy. Like I said, if he slips into that 4th, I'm going to pay attention. So, when he was at Cincinnati, he lined up all over the place. He was doing stuff as a free safety, strong safety, nickel corner, linebacker, lining up in the box. He was the last line of defense. He was playing zone out by the hashes. He was the boundary defender. Did all these different things for Cincinnati. Very versatile player. He's at his best, however, when he gets to play downhill, when he gets to make a read and then just go get the ball carrier. He's an excellent tackler, doesn't miss very many tackles. He's a solid player in coverage. At the very least, you should be getting a special teams demon. So there's a lot to like about Bryan Cook, which is why he's probably going to be a little too high valued for us with our current situation. The only issue that you might have with Bryan Cook are that his ball skills are a little suspect. He has 2 interceptions in 2021. Other than that, I don't think he has any. I don't think he had any in the years where he was barely playing, and he only had 2 in 2021. So the ball skills might be lacking, which, hey, For a strong safety, you can live with that, but you'd prefer not to. And he only played a lot in 1 year. I think his career high in snaps before 2021 was 220. So you're talking about a guy who he's got 1 big year of production, and that's it. Okay, next up we have Tyson Anderson from Toledo, another smaller school prospect, 6'2", 210 pounds. Very good 40. This 40 helped put him on the map, 4.36. Awesome 3-cone, 6.64. 4.28, 20-yard shuttle. And he played 5 years at Toledo, and obviously that comes with advantages and disadvantages, but the best year he had was probably 2019, 84 tackles, 3.5 for loss, 5 pass deflections, but he was consistently a key part of the Toledo's defense over the last 5 years. The Draft Network and ESPN and Walter Football both basically view him in that 5th, maybe 6th round range. CBS has him as a priority UDFA. So you're probably looking at about a 6th round pick, let's call it. As of right now, that's what I would estimate. He's great when you put him in the box. If you put him in the box, he's going to be awesome doing shallow zones and going and getting the ball carrier on running plays. He's a good athlete, great tackler, doesn't miss a lot of tacklers. Should be good on special teams because of his speed and his pursuit ability. I think he'll be fine in zone coverage. If you ask him to do zone coverage, he's going to be good. He's also got really long arms, fantastic length. He's got the ability to make some plays that other safeties wouldn't make because of his superior length. However, with the way he plays, he might actually be more of a linebacker. In fact, some things I read indicate that he might be a tweener, where he gets stuck between safety and linebacker and never really finds his position. Not great ball skills, only a few interceptions in his career, and he may wear down due to his play style very quickly. All right, next up we have Yusuf Corker. This guy is a little bit more of a sleeper. I suspect, based off what I was reading, that he's actually going to go undrafted. He'll be lucky to get drafted, basically, but I don't think he will. Kentucky, 6 feet flat, 197 pounds, a little bit on the smaller side, 4.4840, but he didn't run at the combine, and this time was actually, I think, coming out of high school, so it may very well be different now. Had 3 very productive years for Kentucky over this 3-year span. He had like 230 tackles, making a few plays in the backfield, had a couple of sacks, 3 interceptions over 3 years, not great, but 14 pass deflections and a forced fumble. Not a huge playmaker, but certainly somebody who was productive, and he's considered to be a priority UDFA by most sites that I found him on, except for Walter Football. They actually really like him, but I have a feeling that he will probably be available in the 7th and maybe even UDFA. So what I can say about Corker is he's got a lot of experience. He played a lot at Kentucky. He had multiple roles on defense. He wore multiple hats. He was a box safety. He was a deep safety. He did some nickel stuff. He came up and played almost like a pseudo-will linebacker, which I don't know if he's going to be able to do that in the NFL because he's small, but can't completely rule it out. I do think that he will be good against the run. I think that will hold up in the NFL. And at the very least, like I say with a lot of these guys, should be solid on special teams, which has real value. I think that at the end of the day, if you can get a UDFA who gives you value on special teams, you can live with that. And the fact that that seems to be the bare minimum is nice. Overall, his coverage abilities are going to be lackluster. I don't think he's going to be good in coverage. He's just not that good of an athlete. He's productive, but he's not a big playmaker. He's going to be made to look silly by a few guys out there who are just more athletic than him. Not going to be amazing in space. Not going to be able to flip the hips quickly in coverage and make a play on the ball. So this is a guy who may very well maximize his limited skill set, but it is limited. And finally, the last guy we're going to look at here is Reed Blankenship, and this is a guy who's been on my radar for a while now as a backup safety option to Jamal Adams. Middle Tennessee State, so very small school here, 6'1", 196 pounds, 4.6240, 7.093 cone, 4.22 20-yard shuttle, so the measurables in terms of running is not very good, except for the 20-yard shuttle's good. But he was productive across 5 years. He had 2 years with over 100 tackles. He made a bunch of plays in the backfield a few of these years. 7 tackles for loss, 8, 10. He had over 26 tackles for loss over his 5-year career. Pretty good. Made some sacks as well. Has a handful of interceptions, like 8 or 9, most of them earlier in his career, but regardless, he did show some ball hawk abilities. So I like Reed Blankenship. But the big boards mostly have him in like the 5th, maybe even slipping to the 6th round. I expect him to be available around there, 5th to 6th. So the things to like about Blankenship is he covers a lot of ground. Despite his relatively slow side, he flows to the ball very well. Great tackler, frequently in the backfield. 26 tackles for loss over 5 years, including a double-digit tackle for loss season in 2021, is pretty remarkable. He's a great tackler, doesn't miss a lot. Decent athlete. I wouldn't say great or anything, but he's a decent enough athlete to keep up. He's strong in zone coverage. You ask him to do zone, he can handle that stuff. He also does blitzing stuff, not a ton of it, but sometimes in nickel defenses he can come up and blitz off the edge and be effective in that role. And I believe it was 2019 when he had a little bit of an injury-plagued season that had some people worried about his long-term viability, but he seems like he's past that now. He's had 2 full seasons since. So a lot to like about this guy. He's one of the guys I'm really targeting in the later rounds. Now, he does have a lot of miles on him because he played a lot at Middle State, Tennessee. Probably not going to ever be good at man defense. At the end of the day, I'm not expecting him to be anything more than a rotational safety, a third safety, if you will. Probably just going to be the best he can ever do in the NFL, but there is definitely a place in the NFL for him. And of these guys, given the area you could get him, I think he's my favorite. Tyson Anderson might be a close second. And yeah, those are all the strong safeties we're going to look at today. Those are the guys who stuck out to me. Tomorrow we will be doing free safety, and we are very near the end here. So let me know what you guys think, if you guys are gravitating towards anyone. I know we can't spend big resources here, but we have to take the backup strong safety position seriously. We know that Jamal, the way he plays, getting 17 games out of him is not realistic, so it is what it is. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. I'm going to see you on Twitch probably later today. Should be streaming during the afternoon, at least some, so hope to see you there. And yeah, go Hawks.